Welcome. I'm here. Had a little bit of technical difficulties signing on there, so if you were waiting, I apologize for that. But anyway, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Brad. I know some of you virtually or in the real world, but if I have not met you either virtually or in the real world, just allow me to introduce myself. So my name is Brad, and I'm the guy that's been doing all the posting, and hopefully you found some of them inspirational. Definitely appreciate all your comments and shares and all of that. Hopefully, you found some joy in the post, so I'm happy for that. Get a little pocket clearing here. But anyway, so let me first start off by saying, again, welcome, and it's a pleasure to meet you, again, virtually, and hopefully someday I'll have the chance to meet all of you, either directly virtually in a DM or direct chat or something like that, or to also meet you maybe in the real world at some point. Lots of exciting things I have in mind for all these posts and everything like that. But allow me to introduce myself a little bit first. So again, my name is Brad. I'm currently here in the city of Tulsa. Been in Oregon most of my life, been around the world, many countries, all of that stuff, but don't want to spend a lot of time on the bio stuff or even the credentials, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to bore you to death, but I do want to just say that, I'm just another human being on this planet, living their life, looking for, the deeper meaning of life, looking for the higher purpose of life. I'm the same as everybody else. I wake up in the morning, I go for my walk, drink my coffee. Actually, I drink orange juice. I don't drink coffee. Drink my glass of water. I put my pant legs on one leg at a time. I have good days. I have bad days. I have highs. I have lows. Same as everybody. I have the normal everyday life things, challenges, bills, food, all of that good stuff. I set out on a mission really to discover myself. And the joy I found in discovering myself was now helping other people to discover themselves. And so that's kind of one of the purposes behind my posting, is to help everybody a little bit, if I can, in my own unique way, help them further along on their journey and their path of life, and discovering who they are, what they want out of life, how do they get the life that they want and the life that they desire. And so again, I'm just another regular person. My name is Brad, on that path, and it's been an exciting path. So I wanted to share with everybody today some of the most commonly asked questions that I've gotten over the last couple of years. These are from all clients and Facebook posts and all kinds of different things. So I thought it'd be neat just to come on here and share some of these. If you have any questions, please write it in the comments. I'll see it here. I'll be able to get it. Still learning some of this back end stuff here. They've got, okay. So if you're just joining me or whatever, again, welcome. I'm Brad. But I thought I would do a question and answer session here today. Some of the most commonly asked questions that I've gotten over time. And these are fun. And again, this is all from my perspective and my point of view. I know people listening, you've had your own trainings and your own experiences, life experience and all that. So again, I'm just one person. Like I said, I'm one star in an infinite galaxy of an infinite number of stars. And I just wanted to share some of this with you today. So grab a cup of tea and sit back and relax. And again, if you have any comments, anything you want to say in the section, feel free to do that. I'll do my best to get to it today. So I wrote a list of these questions down. The first one, and I get asked this one a lot, but how do I find my purpose? So that's a big common question. How do I find my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose in life? And this seems to be one that is a sticking point for a lot of people all over this planet. If I can just find my purpose, if I just knew what my purpose was, live that life of purpose, my life would be better, my life would be more joyful, my life would be more happy. And in just a second or two here, I'm going to tell you exactly what your purpose is, because I know exactly what your purpose is. And you may not believe this, and I'll get into this a little bit more, but every single person on this planet has the same purpose. Now, before you go, oh, wait a second, that's crazy, we don't all have the same purpose. Let me dive a little bit deeper into that. So, the way I look at this is that we have three different things going on in our life. We have our purpose, what is my purpose? And then we have our mission in life, and then we have what we call our calling in life, that thing that you were put on this planet to do. A lot of people, again, this is just my perspective on it, confuse their purpose with their mission and calling in life. To me, these are three separate things. Your purpose is very different from your calling. Well, your purpose is latched to your calling in life, but your purpose is not your calling in life. So your purpose is not what you were put on this planet to do. A lot of people think that your purpose in life is what you were put on this planet to do, but I come at it a little differently, a little different perspective. So let me first back up and say, okay, purpose. This is what it's all about, right? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Very quickly, and this may seem a lot, and this is a deep statement. It may take a while to grasp this, but my purpose on this planet, your purpose on this planet, every single person on this planet, their purpose is just one thing. It's just one thing, and that's to love. To be a source of love is what I like to call it. Now, what I mean by that, your purpose is not what you do. It's not the doing. Your purpose is who you are. And so this idea of who you are love. You are a source of love. That's a whole other philosophy for another life. But your purpose is to share who you are with the world. So maybe I hire another question to ask for another time. This question, who are you? I'll get into that in a second. But your purpose on this planet is to be a source of who you are, and who you are is love. And so this is something, and you can share you as a source anywhere, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When you're on the telephone, when you're making a post on Facebook, when you're at the grocery store. This is something I want to share real quick too. Actually, my sister sent this to me, and it's been on the internet for a while, but it's really applicable. I wanted to share that. It's about purpose. Let me find it here real quick. Hold on, come on. Okay. So the question was asked, what is my purpose in life? I asked the boy. What if I told you that you fulfilled it when you took an extra hour to talk to that kid about his life, said the voice. Or when you paid for that young couple in the restaurant. Or when you saved that dog in traffic. Or when you tied your father's shoes for him. You see, all this is based in love. Your purpose is to be a source of love. Now, how you do that, that's what I'm going to get to, is your mission and your calling. There's an infinite number of ways to be a source of love. Your problem is that you equate your purpose with goal-based achievement. The universe isn't interested in your achievements, just your heart. When you choose to act out of love, kindness, and compassion, you are already aligned with your true purpose. No need to look any further. So really, it's simple. The purpose is just to love. And again, there's an infinite number of ways to do that. So let me jump ahead to your calling in life. This is what everybody's really looking for when they say they want to know their purpose. They're actually looking for their calling. What was I put on this planet to do? Now, unfortunately, that I can't tell you, because that is different for everybody. Some people were put on this planet, their calling to be a teacher. Some were put on this planet, like me, to be a speaker and a coach, to inspire, things like that. Some people were put on this planet, and I hate to say this, to be a lawyer or a politician, something like that. So your calling in life is that specific thing that you were put on this planet to do. Now, how do you find your calling in life? It's real simple, actually. You stop here, stop thinking here, and start feeling here. Feel what's in your heart. What is your heart pulling you to do? What is that deep yearning, that deep desire that you have in your heart to do? Okay, that's your calling in life. Mine is to speak. Mine is to inspire. Okay, but what is yours? So that's something later when you have time, you can take out your pen and your journal and just journal that. What is that deep yearning that I have to do, to give to the world, to serve to the planet? And the way that you do that, the way that you implement your calling is your purpose with love. So your purpose is to be a source of love. Your calling is to be a speaker, a teacher, a small business owner, a bakery shop owner. Well, there's an infinite number of things that you could do that could be your calling, but your calling is unique to you. It's like a fingerprint. Everybody has a unique individual calling, and even if your calling is the same, like to be a teacher, the way you approach teaching is not going to be the same as the way the person next to you would approach teaching. So I'm kind of going short. Again, if you have questions, feel free to give me feedback, comments later. Would super appreciate that. So now let me get into this idea of your mission. So again, a quick review. Your purpose in life is simply to love, to be a source of love. Your calling in life is that thing that you were put on this planet to do. Your purpose, to be a source of love, is the same for everybody. Your calling in life, that thing you were put on this planet to do, is different for everybody. And now your mission. This is the broader picture, okay? This gets into why you do what you do, okay? This mission gets into, and I'm going to get to this in a later question, what you want your life to be about, okay? Your mission in life really is what you want your life to be about, okay? I want my life to be about helping others to be, do, have, and live their best life. I want my life to be about inspiring others, about motivating others, about teaching others, about guiding others to be, do, have, and live their best life. That is my mission in life. My calling in life is to do that as a speaker, a coach, a spiritual coach, all of that good stuff. And then, of course, the purpose is the same for everybody, to love. So your purpose is to love, your mission in life is what you want your life to be about, and then your calling in life is that thing that you were put on this planet to do. So that's a quick explanation. Hopefully that gives you some oversight and some overview. But next question, and these questions are not in any particular order. These are just random questions that I've thrown together. So next question is, I get this one a lot too. How can I get and stay healthy, including weight loss? Okay, so this is a common one. I won't go into my story, but suffice to say, how can I get healthy and how can I stay healthy to include weight loss? I first want to say, go to my podcast, Be Well, Be Safe, Be Happy, Eat Ice Cream. Wherever you listen to podcasts, it's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on Google. Every episode literally on there, I've got 81 or 82 episodes out right now, are directed towards that question, how can I get and stay healthy, including weight loss. I have several episodes there pertaining to not just losing weight, but keeping it off. But suffice to say, I'll summarize this very quickly. How can I get and stay healthy? Real quick, the very short answer is choose. Choose to get healthy, choose to stay healthy. Now there's a whole lot that goes behind that. I won't get into the vision, the mindset, the why that I briefly talked about. But again, check out my podcast. You'll find a lot more information on that particular question. Be Well, Be Safe, Be Happy, Eat Ice Cream. The podcast is on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon. Just look for it there. Okay. Next question. And these are some really good questions, by the way. So these, again, if you have a question, please submit it. These are questions I've gotten over the course of my career, the last several years, and on Facebook and chats and just various combinations. Okay, this is a common question too. How can I live an extraordinary life? How can I get my life to be what I want it to be? How can I live my dream life? And now, you ask this to anybody, you're going to get a different answer. Like I said at the very beginning, you're kind of getting my perspective on this based on my trainings, my experiences, my travels around the world, or whatever. But what my coaching centers on now, in terms of guiding people towards living that life they desire, living their dream life, it really centers around 4 questions. And so I'm just going to review these 4 questions with you very quick. But to begin living your dream life, to get your life to really elevate where you want it to go, it's an understanding of 4 basic questions. Who are you? Who do you see yourself being? Not doing, but who do you see yourself being, 6 weeks from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? So who are you? Okay, the second part, and I'm going to get more into this question later, about what do you want? Remember I said just a moment ago about your mission. What do you want your life to be about? That is key. What do you want? This is how you get your life to really start to take off, so to speak, to live that dream life. The third question then that I talk about a lot with this question is why? Why do you want what you want? And why do you do what you do in your life? It's discovering your why. And there are techniques you can use to discover your why. I can certainly help you with that. You're welcome to reach out to me at any time. But then the fourth question is, where are you going? Okay, where do you want to go? And I don't just necessarily mean like career-wise or any of that. We all have 5 different aspects of our life. We've got our personal life, our professional life, our financial life, our relationship life, and then our what I call our financial travel adventure, our finances, our material things, the house, the car, the boat, and the joys, the passions, the travel, things like that. So in each one of these areas, it's really about what do you want, why do you want it, where are you going, and who do you see yourself being? It's just to give you a quick example, one of the life coaches that actually I worked with that helped mentor me, this was a while ago, but she used to keep a picture next to her desk about this, this completely career businesswoman, high-oriented businesswoman that she wanted to be. So it's about who do you want to be. Okay, I have a couple pictures of mine about stepping into my own version of, this particular speaker or something like that. I could certainly never be, for example, Wayne Dyer or Tony Robbins, but I can certainly step into my own and be my own version of that. And so developing your dream life, it's having a clear understanding of these 4 questions. Who are you? What do you want? Why do you want it? And where are you going? And that's actually what my whole coaching centers around. Part of it, actually. There's a lot I can actually coach on. So, okay. Moving along here. I love these. Thank you. These are fun questions for me, too. So, question 4, can you always stay happy and positive? And what's the key to staying stable with all this? So let me first take that first part question first. Can you always stay happy and positive? And the answer is yes. You can always choose to be happy. You always have a choice. Now, that can be a little more complex, and when we have all kinds of things going on in our world, and we're used to reacting to events versus being proactive, and that's a whole different thing. But let me say this, we are human beings, and as human beings, our moods change very naturally, our feelings change. One moment we're happy, the next moment we're sad, depressed, anxious, whatever. We very much fluctuate, kind of like the seasons. One day it's spring, the next day it's winter, the next day it's fall, the next day it's summer. Our beingness is kind of like that. And so one of the things that I wanted to share about this particular question that I've discovered on my journey is to not resist, not fight who we are being in the moment. So let's just say I'm being down, depressed, whatever, in this moment. Instead of fighting that and saying, oh, I shouldn't be this way, I wish I wasn't this way, how can I get better? Accept who you are being in the moment, because this acceptance is key to then allowing yourself to move through this naturally. So every season passes, every storm passes. The thunderstorm may last for an hour and it passes. The freezing cold winter day, all these different things, they eventually pass. And what I'm saying is to accept, this is what I mean when I get into this idea of self-love, about giving yourself grace. I used to beat myself up all the time if I wasn't happy, if I wasn't positive, if I wasn't focused. And you know what? That actually made the situation worse. The more I tried to be happy, the more I tried to just be excited, the more I tried to be, upbeat and all that, it didn't work. The worse it got, actually, because I was trying to force it. So the first key is just to allow yourself grace. Accept yourself for who you are being in the moment. That is key. And then slowly allow this, okay, this is a redirect technique. Once you accept, slowly allow that to just pass and slowly start to focus on the opposite of like being anxious or being depressed, which is thriving and confident and happy. And the quickest way to start focusing on that is gratitude. So you accept, allow yourself grace, who you're being in the moment. Slowly you start to come out of it. Start with gratitude and then start to focus your mind on who you want to be. And this is an exercise, so the more you practice this, the more you practice focusing on who you want to be, the easier it becomes to stay happy longer. It's just like going to the gym. You might start on day one with one push-up, but if you go 5 days a week, after 6 weeks, you're going to be able to do 5 or 6 push-ups. So this idea of just always give yourself grace, whatever state of being you're in. And of course, if you're in a happy, high vibration, high energy state, it's easy to give yourself grace. Yeah, this works, this is rocking, I'm doing it. It's easy in that situation. But what if you're in that low energy state, that low self-esteem state, like I was for a lot of my life? I'll get into my self-esteem later. But you're in that depressed state or that anxious state. My suggestion, again, this is just me, is to give yourself grace, to accept who you're being and to slowly allow that storm to pass and then focus on who you want to be and then keep practicing doing those reps of focusing on who you want to be. Okay, there's a little bit more to it than that, but that was the biggest mistake I made in my journey when I was trying to overcome my low self-esteem. I made many mistakes, but one of the biggest mistakes I made was trying to force the issue, trying to force myself out of anxiety, trying to force myself out of depression, trying to force myself out of low self-esteem and low self-worth. It doesn't work when you try to force it. And the way that you work around this is to accept who you are being in the moment. And then slowly start to focus on who you do want to be and the opposite of all that. And then over time, you build that focus muscle and it just starts to get stronger. So that for me is one of the keys. And then another key to always staying in this state of joy. Yeah, exactly, Misty. You got to train that focus. Thanks for that comment. That's a great comment. Another thing then is back to those 4 questions I mentioned. When you have a very clear understanding of who you are, what you want, why you want it, and where you're going, this gets your energy flowing because that's living that life of passion. That's living that life of higher, alignment and values when you have a clear understanding of those 4 questions. And that's going to automatically start, you see I just got more excited. That's going to automatically take you out of those low energy states. So go back to those 4 questions, work those 4 questions. Reach out to me. I'm happy to work with you on those 4 questions. I'm happy to work with you on whatever you got going on in your life, pretty much. I can, whatever you need help and support with. But that's kind of a nutshell on that. And so one of the keys, the second part of that question, what are some keys to stay stable? The keys to staying stable are having a clear answer to those 4 questions, okay? Focusing exactly on what you want your life to be about, who you want to be, okay? I want to be confident. I am confident. Okay, I want to be a peak performer. I am a peak performer. I want to be thriving. I am thriving. I want to be, energetic, so I got to take care of my mind, body, spirit, eat healthy, move, practice the 7 natural medicines. I'll do I have another training on that another time about the 7 natural medicines and how you can use those to create more energy in your life. But essentially the key to staying stable is those 4 questions. Who are you? What do you want? Why do you want it? Where you're going? Giving yourself grace when you're in a low energy state. Don't fight it, okay? I can't blow the storm out. I can't force the storm out. Okay? I'm going to read Misty's comment here real quick. Yeah, that's awesome, Misty. Yeah, okay. You gave yourself grace, yeah. Yes, tiny baby steps, yeah. Way to go, Misty. I give you an air high five. Yeah, give you an air fist bump right there. Good job. That is awesome, Misty. Yeah. Yeah, you're okay. Yeah, that's a big part of it too, realizing that you're okay. Great comment there, Misty. But anyway, yeah, so the key to staying stable, again, those 4 questions, and giving yourself grace, focusing on exactly what you want, who you want to be in terms of your inner state. You want to be confident. You want to be excited about your life. To get excited about your life, again, it goes back to those 4 questions. So anyway, I love doing this stuff, so I'm going to keep going here. I love this question. How do you better your self-love? I got this in one of the Facebook groups here not too long ago, but this is a great question, and this is something, oh my gosh, that I didn't even recognize for the longest time, that I didn't understand any of that. So how do you better your self-love? And this is becoming a buzzword now. It's all about self-love, and I actually could not agree more with that. I have found, and I'll get to this a little while, that really one of the major factors that life is all about is the relationship I have with myself. So this idea of self-love, the quickest way to get there is to have this realization, and it took me a while to get to this, but love is who you are. Okay, and that's the quickest way. When you realize that you are love, okay, then you can start to give love. But you can start to absorb love, you can start to give love, you can be love. Okay, if you want more love, if you want to, practice self-love more, okay, starting with loving yourself, yeah, it's this idea of giving love and being love, but that would be the first step to having more self-love. Oh, you're very welcome, Misty. Yeah, I'm going to be here for a while, Misty, so yeah, you're welcome to partake of all this. But key to self-love, I have an inner child meditation, which I'll put on my Facebook page here, but that's key to it, inner child. But there's a lot of work I had to do on myself, and I won't go into all that about how I learned to love myself. But a couple factors to bettering this idea of self-love is learning to accept yourself, learning to embrace yourself. No matter you're tall, short, wide, skinny, fat, all of this stuff, none of that matters. Accept yourself for who you are. Embrace yourself for who you are. Okay? Respect yourself. For the longest time, I didn't even respect myself. Okay? Trust yourself. Be proud of yourself. Okay? Learn to value yourself. Okay? All of this stuff. Learn to appreciate yourself. These are all little components that go into creating self-love. And when you can do all this, all these layers start to shed away. Now, I know I'm talking the talk right here. It's one thing to talk about this. It's a whole other thing to do it, because we all have different journeys. I know a lot of people out there have struggled with a lot of different things, trauma, domestic abuse, violence, PTSD, all kinds of stuff. But I want to say, it's very possible to go from over here, I'll get my hand in the camera there, or it's possible to go from over here, this place of no self-love, over here to this place of self-love, by learning to go through each one of these, okay? Learning to accept yourself, learning to love, appreciate yourself, learning to value yourself. And the way you do that, because over here is where you are, we'll say low self-love, and over here is high self-love. Okay, authenticity, yeah, that's another great one. Over here is high self-love, and right in the middle here, if I were to draw a diagram, next time I'll use a whiteboard, but is this thing called blocking beliefs, limiting beliefs, all of that. And so we've got to get past all those, and it's actually really easy. I can work with you on that stuff too, but we've got to get past these limiting beliefs to realize something very important: the truth of who we are. Another buzzword that's thrown around a lot nowadays is this idea of imposter syndrome. Okay, imposter syndrome is the low energy version. That's not the real us. The authentic version is the high energy, the self-love version. But to get to that authentic version, we got to go through the obstacles. Those obstacles are the limiting beliefs in our mind. The first thing we do with limiting beliefs is we got to identify what the limiting belief is, and that's where it takes having a conversation back and forth with a coach. Or if you know how to, later on I'm going to teach a journaling technique, how you can identify this for yourself with a simple journaling technique. But very, very quickly, getting the short of it, to better our self-love, it's so important. This is probably the number one thing I didn't do for most of my life, and have given this one aspect the most attention in the last 6 months, but particularly the last 6 weeks. But I've learned to just value myself, appreciate myself, love myself. respect myself, be proud of myself. Another time I'll get on and share some of my story, but I had very, very, very crippling low self-esteem, very low crippling self-worth for many, many years, which led to very, very low self-confidence. And I've been able to break through all of that. And whatever you have going on in your life, you will be able to break through all of that too. I guarantee it. It does take work. I'm not going to say that. This is work you got to do on yourself. Again, I have a journaling technique that I'll teach you on another session here, or working with a coach or something like that, or even a licensed counselor therapist. I'm a little biased, so I think coaches are better, but I'm not a therapist, licensed therapist, so I can't really say that. But yeah, and it absolutely is possible. I mean, my self-esteem, self-worth, whatever, 10 years ago on a scale of 1 to 10 was like a 1, maybe a 2. And now it's not perfect. It's a 7, maybe even an 8 there. Like I said, we have high days and low days. And on the low days, we just accept what's going on. We just accept the situation. As Michael Singer says in his book, Untethered Soul, we surrender to the moment. We surrender to a situation. And that is key to bettering your self-love too. So that's kind of again, I have a lot of questions here, and I don't want to take everybody's time. But that's kind of an overview of it, is realize that low energy, low self-love is not the real you, the authentic you. Great word, Alexandra, authenticity. The authentic you is bursting with energy, is bursting with pride, is bursting with self-esteem, is bursting with high self-love. So we got to get you to really realize who the real you is, the authentic you. And even me, there's, like I said, these limiting beliefs, these tiny voices inside that say, yeah, you're full of it, Brad, you're lying, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the truth. We got to realize the truth of who we are. That's key to bettering self-love. So, okay. Oh, I love this next question. Okay, this question, I've had this question a bunch, but then someone reminded me again of this question literally right before I came on and started this live. But this question is, what is the most important question to ever ask yourself? Oh, this ties in with everything I've said so far. So if you want to be happy, positive all the time, the key to really staying in a happy, positive state, having the high energy, the health, all of that, understanding your purpose, mission, calling in life, all of that stuff. This is the most important question. In my opinion, again, that you're getting my perspective on this, this is the most important question to ask yourself. What do I want my life to be about? What do you want? So if you're listening right now, the listener, what do you want your life to be about? That is, in my humble opinion, the most important question you can ever ask yourself. And having a clear answer to that question. So as I said earlier, this gets into what your mission in life is. I want my life to be about inspiring others, guiding others, leading others, teaching others, serving others, so that they can be, do, have, and live their best life. And one of the mechanisms I use to do this is this Facebook Live right here. So happy to help you come to clarity on that question, but sit down, have a heart-to-heart with yourself. What do I want my life to be about? That is by far the most important question that you can ever ask yourself. And when you have clarity on that question, that clears up so much more. I literally think that is the natural medicine to a lot of the ills of our planet today, the depression, the anxiety, because they don't have a clear understanding of what they want their life to be about. Okay, and so they spend all this time focusing on their energy on what they don't want their life to be about. That's what happened to me. My story, you can, on my podcast, you can listen to episode 1 and hear my story. But my story way back in the beginning, I was focusing on everything I didn't want my life to be about. I was focusing on the person I didn't want to be, and I was focusing on what I didn't want my life to be about, and that led to misery, and that just compounded the low self-esteem and the low self-worth and the low self-confidence. So, yeah, I had to break through a lot. So, again, we all have different experiences in life, all different journeys, but wherever you are at in your life and your journey, it's possible to break through. I truly believe that. I don't care what it is, PTSD, depression, anxiety, narcissism abuse, mental emotional abuse, all of that stuff. It is possible to move through all that, to move beyond all that, to create the life you want, to create the life you desire, to live the life that you want and desire. So, okay, I get this question a lot. I've gotten this question, so many times over the past 15 years. It's about discipline. Brad, how do you find the discipline to do what you do? Oh my gosh. So, discipline. How do I find the discipline? How do you find the discipline to be, do, have, live everything you want in your life? And I'm going to answer that in a little bit of a different way and say what drives me is not discipline, it's desire. And desire comes from an understanding of my purpose in life, my mission in life, and my calling in life. And when you have clarity on that, and again, those 4 questions, the discipline is kind of automatically there. To me, discipline is something that pushes you, and it becomes really hard. Now, there's a time where discipline is needed, but we want something to pull us. So that drive, that desire, that the understanding of those questions I've mentioned, then you're moving through life with desire, with passion, and discipline is not necessarily needed in those moments. Again, this is just my humble opinion. But now there are times when discipline is certainly needed. Let me give you an example. When I was training for triathlons and the marathon and all that, I had to wake up, 4:30 every day, be at the swimming pool by 5 a.m. or be running in the cold Oregon winters at 5 in the morning with wet, snowy, sleet, rain. So how did I find the discipline to do that? And this goes back to one simple thing. Many coaches will tell you this. Simon Sinek says it all the time. Start with why. What is your why? Why are you doing the thing that you're doing? Why do you do what you do? And a deep understanding of that, connected to those other questions I mentioned, is going to get you out of bed at 4:30 in the morning. There are days, I'm not going to lie, who wants to get up at 4:30 in the morning, drive all the way across town to get in a cold swimming pool at 5 a.m. and swim for an hour? A lot of times I did, but there were definitely times I did not want to do that. So I still had to get out of bed. I still had to train. And how did I do it? What made me get out of bed? It was understanding my why and understanding the greater mission that I was on at that time. That this is something bigger than myself. Okay, and again, it goes back to choosing what do you want your life to be about, and that will evolve through time too. What I want my life to be about now is different than what I wanted my life to be about 10 or 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I was in the peak of my triathlon training, maybe 12 years ago. Hi, Michelle. Yeah, you feel better afterwards. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, every time I got up, drove across town at 4:30 in the morning, did an hour swim, I definitely felt better. Yeah, but there's a saying that I used to teach in my coaching circles: can you do it when you're tired? And what I mean by that, when life is going good, the bills are paid, you have a full stomach, a warm bed, a hot shower, plenty of time, it's kind of easy to get up and go do the training or do the thing that you need to do. But realistically, that doesn't happen that often. Most of us have financial issues, relationship issues, work-related issues, 50 million things going on in our life. And so how do we still find the time and the discipline to do the things we need to do? It goes back to your why. Why do you do what you want to do, and what do you want your life to be about? Having that higher vision, that higher meaning, that higher purpose, that higher calling, having a clear understanding of that. And so at that time in my life, I was on a mission to be a triathlete. And that definitely motivated me to get out of bed when I did not want to at 4:30. And that's where the discipline came from, is having that higher motivation, that higher discipline as well. Again, connected to my why. I've been connected to my why for a long time. I wasn't connected to my why for about the first, I think, 1 or 2 years. And another time, that's when I was in the yo-yo weight loss cycle. But anyway, that's a quick answer to that question. As much as you can in your life, work from a place of desire, work from a place of passion. What's in your heart? What is really in your heart that you're just burning to do? Then you're going to be driven to do that. and discipline won't be as necessary. But even when you do that, in those days you're driven, there's going to be times where you don't want to do it, and that's where discipline kicks in. And on those days when discipline kicks in, reminding yourself, connecting to your why do you do what you do, and what it is that you want your life to be about. And then over time I've learned too, discipline also comes from something called balance. Okay, do I need to train 7 days a week for an hour every day in the swimming pool? No. I've realized no. There's something called overtraining. I learned that too. Life is about balance. It's okay to take a day off every now and then. It's okay to rest. If something doesn't get done, it's not the end of the world. If you don't eat a healthy meal once a week or I don't know. For me, it's about once a week that I don't eat a healthy meal. It's not the end of the world. It's balance. So finding that balance keeps you motivated, and that helps with the discipline in those hard times when you don't want to get out of bed and things like that. Another aspect with discipline, where does discipline come from, is knowing what's at the end of the tunnel, what's at the end of the lights. So on those days, even for me, like what I'm doing now, what I want my life to be about, discipline comes from the end of the tunnel, knowing for me that I'm going to be hopefully helping and serving thousands of people all over the world. That's the power of the internet. You know, my goal is to have 100 people watching me on this live from all different countries. That drives me, okay? That's that external why. Another time I'll talk about internal why versus external why. But those days when I don't feel like working, I think back to that higher vision. That's what kind of drives me and gives me that discipline I need too. So again, ideally, as much as you can, work from your heart, desire that drive, what is in your heart. On those days when you don't feel like doing it, think back to your higher meaning, vision, purpose, your why. That gives you the discipline, that push you need to keep going on those days when you don't feel like it. On the days when we feel like it, it's easy. On the days when the stars are lined up, it's easy. But what about the days that the stars are not lined up and the days that we don't feel like it? That's where we got to have that extra discipline mixed in with a bit of balance, knowing that it's okay to take a day off, sometimes here, sometimes there in your life. Not that big a deal. So, okay. So here's a good question. I got this one just a couple days ago, actually, and again, in another Facebook group. I'm going to read it here for you. But what are some practical steps you take to align your daily actions with your long-term goals and values? Any tips? Let me read that again. What are some practical steps you take to align your daily actions and your long-term goals and values? Any tips? My number one tip, actually my number one tip on that question would be live your life from your heart. Lead your life, lead yourself from your heart, not your head. This is a common saying, think with your head, you're dead. Feel with your heart, you're smart. Leading yourself from your heart will drive all of that to take action, to take that inspired action, to align with your goals and values. And the second tip, or the second most important thing I would say to answer that question, know what your priorities are. What are your priorities in life? What are your top 3 priorities? If you're doing something that's not a priority, why are you doing it? Or why are you not doing stuff that is a priority? So is your health a priority in your life? Where in your list of priorities is it? Is your own well-being a priority in your life? Okay, your mission, vision, purpose, calling in life, where does that prioritize in your life in terms of working on all those things? So that's how I would answer that question. Again, live life from your heart. Lead yourself, lead your life from your heart. A couple more here. Thanks again for being here. Again, I'm Brad. You can go back and watch the beginning. I introduced myself, but just an ordinary guy like you, trying to get the most out of life and love life and live life to the fullest. Okay. What do you do? Here's another question that came in. What do you do to maintain a strong and positive self-esteem and self-confidence? That's a great question. What do you do to maintain a strong and positive self-esteem and self-confidence? And I can answer that very, very distinctly, very quickly with just a couple of words. Know who you are. Know who you are, and just as importantly, know who you are not. And when I use the word know, I mean within your heart. Have a deep understanding, realization, epiphany, the light bulb goes off type of a moment in your heart, who you are. in your heart, know who you are, but also know who you are not. So just to give you an example, two extremes, depression and thriving. My hands go out of the camera view there. So what do I do to maintain strong and positive self-esteem and self-confidence? I know now in my life that depression is not who I am. That's the false syndrome, the imposter syndrome. That's not the authentic syndrome. That's why I call it the false syndrome. Others call it the imposter syndrome. Okay, I just know that's not who that's the truth, okay? This goes back to the truth. Again, what I talked about earlier, the truth of knowing who you are, the authenticity that Alexandra mentioned earlier. So I know the truth of who I am not, and that I am not depression. And the truth of who I am is thriving, okay? The truth of who I am is joy. Joy is the opposite of depression. That's the authentic me. And so to maintain a strong and positive self-esteem and self-confidence, it's to know who you are, the authentic version of you, and know who you are not, which is the false imposter syndrome. And again, there are techniques and tricks of the trade and strategies to learn to get to that authentic you, to truly knowing, understanding in your heart who you really are. Happy to work with any of you on any of that. You can always reach out to me, DM, happy to have a chat. We can do that anytime. So. Okay, this is a great question too. I love this one. What are the most important lessons you have learned over time? Gosh, the most important lessons I have learned over time. I'm gonna start with one here. Probably the most important lesson I have learned over time, over the past, 14 years that I've been on this particular journey, is that the most important relationship that you have on this planet is the relationship that you have with yourself. And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier, that question about how do you better your self-love. I denied the relationship with myself for so many years. I ignored it. I didn't pay any attention to it because, like, I see this a lot in Facebook groups. I'm not worthy. I'm not enough. I'm not deserving. Again, that's the false identity of me. I want the authentic identity of me. I am enough. I am deserving. I am worthy. And so I had to create and develop that relationship with myself. And I'm still in this journey, on this process. And what I'm in the process right now is learning to be my own best friend. And that's probably one of the most important lessons I've learned over time, is that you need to learn to be your own best friend. Treat yourself the way you would your best friend. Talk to yourself the way you would your best friend. Love yourself the way you would your best friend. Be kind to yourself the way you would your best friend. Respect, value, appreciate yourself the way that you would your best friend, and start with yourself. The other two important lessons I've learned over time, and this goes back to two of the biggest mistakes I've ever made in my journey. If you want anything in life, you have to have two things. And I, for the longest time, didn't fully grasp this and didn't do it in my life, did not apply it to my life. But if you want anything in your life, a better life, whatever it is, more money, a better relationship, you have to be A, committed, and B, determined to be, do, have, whatever it is you want to be, do, have for your life. I wanted to be a personal development teacher, guru, whatever, but I was never committed or determined to be that, only until within the last year and a half. I just kind of skated through. And I realized I wasn't committed to my own goals, and I wasn't determined to make my own goals happen. I just read this great quote the other day. Keep pushing yourself until you get the outcome that you desire. And that's where I'm at now. And that's another thing, finding these external things that motivate you to help with the discipline. But I don't care who you are in the world, where you are in the world, what your situation is. You're not gonna get from point A to point B if you're not committed and not determined. Now, how do you get committed? How do you get determined? It goes all the way back to everything I've said up to this point. Maybe that was probably not a coincidence that question was there in this order. But it's knowing who you are, your self-love, those 4 questions. Who are you? What do you want? Why do you want it? Where are you going? Understanding your purpose. Again, your purpose is to love. That's the same for everyone. Understanding your mission in life, which is what you want your life to be about, and understanding your calling in life, that thing you were put on this planet to do. You have to be committed and determined to see all of that happens. You ground that in a solid why. Why am I doing this? Okay, that deep internal why. Layer it with a lot of external factors, the light at the end of the tunnel type of things, as I like to call it. So, but those are three of the most important lessons I've learned over time. The relationship you have with yourself is by far the most important relationship, because if you can't love yourself, how can you go out and love another person? And more specifically, how can you love that person genuinely and heartfelt and sincerely? You might say you love them, but is it going to be genuine and sincere? I don't know. For me in my life, it was not. I couldn't even for the longest time say I love you to anyone, much less myself. But now I can truly open up. Brad, I do love you. Whoever is in my life, when I need to say that, I can say it and actually mean it when I say it. And that goes back to a lot of this stuff. We can use affirmations: I am love, or I am joy, or I am rocking the boat today, I am knocking it out of the park, I am lean, mean, health and wellness machine. This is all great stuff, but we've got to believe it when we say it. We've got to buy into it when we say it. And that's where it's important to overcome those blocking beliefs I talked about earlier, those false beliefs. Because we have so many of them. And believe me, if you didn't have any, I would say you were not normal. You're normal when you have all these. I've had so many. Here's one of my, just to show you, give you an idea of some of my notes here. You can see all this. I have, over time, I filled up, I don't even know, maybe 100 of these notebooks with work and journaling and stuff like that. Getting to the truth of who I am, getting clarity on my purpose, my mission, my calling in life, getting clarity on what I want my life to be about. So all of that. So, okay, I've kind of lost track, but we got 2 more questions here. So thank you for being here again. I really appreciate it. I've had a couple people join me, and exciting. Got a couple of comments. So yeah, thank you so much. So. Here's a great question. How do you stay motivated when you're in a slump or feeling low? Okay, that's a great question. How do you stay motivated? And that goes back to, can you do it when you're tired? And the way you stay motivated, again, I'll say this as many times as I need to for folks to really grasp this. It's an understanding of what it is you want your life to be about. And it's also giving yourself grace. When you're in that slump, just accept it. It's not that big a deal. It's not that end of the world. This too shall pass. The storm doesn't last forever. Okay, yes, I am the storm. You are the storm. What kind of storm? A depressed storm or a thriving storm? We obviously want to be a thriving storm. That's the authentic version. The depressed storm is the false, the inauthentic version. Okay, so the key to staying motivated when you're in a slump is and when you're low is, again, literally everything I've said up to this point. So I wrote a note here. It goes back to why you do what you do, and what you want your life to be about. So having that internal why, but also having some external whys to drive you, that light at the end of the tunnel, being able to help people, or when I achieve this goal, I'll have the money to buy this car, or something like that. So. Okay, I'm going to move on. This is the last question that I have for today. So if anybody is listening right now, if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments. I'm getting them right here on my Facebook feed. This is the back end here is interesting for me here. But I can definitely see everybody's comments and all of that. So I can even add some of you in here. That's kind of neat to be, I guess, on this live stream with me. So we'll have to play with that at another time. Okay, yeah. But anyway, so this last question, I love this. How to be a happy, healthy human? That's a great question. That's a long answer. There's no one direct answer. I would also say on that again, go back to my podcast. I've touched base on that a lot. Any of my podcast episodes, Be Well, Be Safe, Be Happy, Eat Ice Cream. You can find it on Apple or wherever, but definitely listen to a lot of those episodes. I asked another coach this, just out of curiosity, what his answer would be. And he said something, very distinctly. He's a very XO type of a coach, and I'm more of a philosophical, spiritual type coach. But 3 things he said, and this applies to any aspect of your life. If I were to give you 3 magic ingredients for everything in your life, it would be these 3 things: effort, time, and consistency. And then I would throw in earlier what I said about determination and commitment. But Choose to be happy. Choose to be healthy. Put in the effort, time, and consistency that it takes to be happy and healthy. Choose to better your life. Put in the effort, time, consistency. Be committed. Be determined to make it happen. Choose to be, do, have whatever it is you want in your life. Make that decision. Don't make it. This isn't Another important lesson I learned, back to that other question, is that you've got to fundamentally decide what it is you want your life to be about, what you want for your life. If you're in the middle of the road like I was for a long time in that gray area, and you're not putting in the effort, the time, consistency, you're not determined, you're not committed, then your life is going to it's kind of like spinning the tire in the mud. You're not going to go anywhere, and that's what my life was for a long time. But how to be a happy, healthy human? That's how he answered it, and I love that. So the effort, time, and consistency. How to be a happy, healthy human? I would say this. I would say love yourself. Love yourself first and foremost, and then share who you are. Share that love with the world. Because when you give something, in order to give something, I said this before, you have to be that something that you want to give. If you want to, everybody gets great joy from making somebody else smile, making somebody else happy, doing a random act of kindness. Be the change I always say you want to see in your life. Obviously that's a play off of what Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world, but you got to bring it down here. Be the change that you want to see in your life. That's actually my one message to the world. We're coming to the end here, so there it is, my message to the world. Be the change you want to see in your life. How do you be a happy, healthy human? Be the change you want to see in your life, and then effort, consistency, determination, commitment, put in the time. So that's what I had for today. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So Michelle, if you're still on, thank you, or Alexander or Misty, thank you all so much for being here. If you liked any of this, do me a solid and just share this. I think as soon as I finish here, it'll be up on my Facebook. Share it with whatever you want. If you ever have any other questions, put them in the comments, or I'm pretty easy to find on DM. I'm not that hard. I don't hide. I'm not some rich famous person with a lot of people lined up, to do all the work for them. Not yet, anyway. I should say. No, I'm kidding on that. I'll always be accessible. No matter what happens. But anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for being here on this live stream with me. And this is Brad. And I always say, I sign off on my podcast. I'll say it here. Take time to be well in your life. Take time to be safe. Take time to be happy. And eat a scoop of ice cream now and then. I love ice cream. Ice cream is the solution to everything. I read that quote recently too. So, okay, thanks everybody. I've enjoyed being on this live with you, and we'll see you soon for another live.